You know, why do we have books we don't read? Oh my God, my heart just stopped a little bit. Whew. I hope I like you because you seem badass from the covers at least. Is he a horrible racist or is that the other guy? And then I'm gonna have to like move shit and grab. It's gonna be a whole thing, but here we go. Well, hello, welcome back to my channel. Just Shauna here to talk about some friggin' books on my shelves. I have never done one of these videos because it just sounds so daunting and tedious. But fuck it, I just felt kind of like doing it, and I saw Jessie do it recently, Jessie May, and it just kind of made me think of it again, like, you know, I could do that. I guess, why not? Fuck it, I've never done it, let's do it. So, going over all of the unread books on my physical shelves. I mean, I have several, way less than some people, you know, but way more than others, of course. I think I have like 150-ish right now, books that I own that I have not read. So yeah, let's just go through them. I don't have them all down just yet, because that sounded fucking terrible. But this is probably gonna be so tedious, because I'm just gonna do it like bookcase by bookcase. So I have all of the ones right here from this first bookcase, and then I'm gonna have to like move shit and grab. It's gonna be a whole thing, but here we go. So yeah, over here on this bookcase, I have down on this shelf, most of those are read books that I own, but I have a couple. Dear Justice by Nick Stone. I'm not gonna read or explain all the synopses and depth of these. I'll just tell you kind of like what the genre is and shit. This is young adult contemporary, and it's with the same characters as Dear Martin. It's just Our World, but like a fictionalized version. And this one, I believe, follows a kid who grew up like in the same area as that character, Justice, and he, though, is in like a detention center and writing letters to Justice. And yeah, that's what I know of that. And then also down there, my graphic novels. I just haven't gotten to this yet. Volume 7 of Monstrous. I mean, I could grab it and finish it pretty quickly. I just haven't. And then up here is the Michael J. Sullivan shelf. From that shelf, I have read everything except for the Rhaeria Chronicles series. Epic fantasy, World of Elon, all these books are in the same world, just in different time periods. The George R. R. Martin shelf, oh shit, I do have fucking more from that, Jesus Christ. Hold please. I just reread the first 3 books in the Song of Ice and Fire, and I've never read A Feast for Crows or Dance with Dragons. This edition is like volume 1 and volume 2, but it's the same book. So, need to read these. Very familiar with like the overall story and like the TV show and stuff. I've just never read these actual books, so I'm excited. And also I have on there The Ice Dragon, which I have never read. It's like a really short, illustrated, kind of, I think like more children's, you know, tale from that world. Cute. And then up above is just some kind of general fiction, literary fiction, etc. I have Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. This one is like contemporary. God, I need to sneeze. Oh, I can feel it. I'm so sorry if my eyes start watering or if I sneeze. Yeah, it's like a bank robber or like attempted bank robber, and then goes into like an apartment building and kind of holds the people there hostage. And it's just like their tale. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of people love it. And then The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. I love Station 11, one of my favorite books of all time. I have reread it a couple times, and it holds up for me. I really, really enjoy it, so I want to read more of her works. I just haven't gotten to this, and it's pretty short. I don't know why the fuck I haven't. I don't know. You know, why do we have books we don't read? And then I also have collected Ian McEwan books, because I tend to quite enjoy them. I tend to give them all at least like 3.5 stars, if not like 4 or 5. And yeah, it's just like literary, whatever. So I have Amsterdam, oh God, The Child in Time, The Children Act, and Enduring Love. Okay, this bookcase. A lot of these shelves are favorites, so like all of these, I didn't have any. But the top shelf is some historical fiction. And the ones I have not read from that shelf are The Labyrinth of Spirits by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This is the 4th book in the Cemetery of Forgotten Books series, and I am rereading the first 3. I've reread the first 2. Fucking love them. I gave them 3 stars the first time I read them in 2013, 2014. I don't know what the hell I was on, because one was 5 stars and one was 4.5. And yeah, cannot wait to get to this one. It's historical, gothic, set in Barcelona. And then I have The Chelsea Girls by Fiona Davis. This one I don't anticipate loving and wanting to keep, but, you know, if I want like kind of a quick, easy, digestible historical fiction, this will work from my experience with Fiona Davis. And then this one I'm excited about. This one is also historical fiction. Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe, and it's young adult historical, and it's I know it's like sapphic, right? Yeah, but it's like in 1954, and the main character is Chinese American as well. So yeah, won a bunch of awards, which doesn't necessarily mean I'll love it, but I'm excited about it. And then this one was gifted to me by Roger, The Memoirs of Cleopatra by Margaret George. She's chonky. So we'll see when I get to this how fucking long it takes me to read it, but I like historical fiction, and I do like it about real historical figures. So, and then the bottom shelf is also a bunch of historical fiction that I mostly have not read. It's a tower over here that you can't see, but I have The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. And yeah, I mean, it's The Kite Runner. It's pretty well known, I think. But it's in Afghanistan, the final days of the monarchy through the horrific invasion of the Taliban, etc. Felida by Andre Brink. This I purchased from a South African bookstore when I was in South Africa, 1832. And I believe it's following a woman who was enslaved and her plight to become free and her journey to freedom. The Prince of the Skies by Antonio Iturbe. This is based on the story of Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Whatever, I don't know French pronunciations very well, but author of The Little Prince. So it's fiction about him. I love The Little Prince, though, so. And then Under the Udala Trees by Chinelo Okparanta. This was also an award winner. Historical fiction. Set in Nigeria. Sapphic. Inspired by Nigeria's folk tales and its war. Cool? I mean, not cool. War isn't cool, but you know what I mean. And then this is actually nonfiction, but it's like narrative nonfiction. In the Garden of Beasts by Eric Larson. I've read The Devil in the White City and loved it, so hopefully I like this. An American Family in Hitler's Berlin. Circling the Sun, by Paula McLain. I picked this up because I really liked The Paris Wife by Paula McLain, and this is just another historical fiction, I believe about a real person again. 1920s Kenya, Extraordinary Adventures of Beryl Markham, a woman before her time. I think it's about a real person. Yeah, famed aviator Beryl Markham is a novelist's dream. Yeah, cool. I tend to enjoy historical fiction about like real people, real women in history. Colson Whitehead's The Underground Railroad, obviously a very popular, well-known winner of the National Book Award, winner of the Pulitzer Prize. And in this one, yeah, it's like fictionalized version of The Underground Railroad where it's like a real thing. And then Chris and Hannah, Summer Island. I haven't read any Chris and Hannah yet, but I don't know, sounded kind of fun. It's just kind of like general fiction. Some would probably put it under like women's fiction or whatever. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. There we go. I have not read this, but this one is very popular. A lot of people love it. Don't know if I will, because I also have known some people who didn't love it. It's a World War II historical fiction, which I don't like have a very strong opinion on. Some people hate World War II historical fiction. Some people love it. I'm kind of like, I don't gravitate toward it necessarily, but I don't like avoid it either. The Unrestored Woman by Shobha Rao. This one is historical fiction about, in 1947, the Indian subcontinent is partitioned into 2 separate countries, India and Pakistan. With one decree, countless lives are changed forever. Sounds like it'll be deep. Another Paula McLain, A Ticket to Ride. This one's shorter. This one I think is just completely fictionalized people. Yeah, 1973, girl who like falls under the spell of her older, more worldly cousin. like a coming of age thing. Interpreter of Maladies by Jhumpa Lahiri. I've read something from Jhumpa Lahiri before, and I can't remember what I thought about it. This is short stories, though, so we'll see. The Serena's Legacy by Jennifer Lamb. I don't know, sounded fun. This one is, yeah, Grigory Potemkin has loved Empress Catherine of Russia, blah, 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 but now she learns she's the heiress to the Romanov throne. It's like 2 different timelines, I think, yeah. Back in the day and then like now. So sometimes I like that, but like Russian Romanov history and stuff is always fascinating to me, so I think that's why I picked that one up. Paragon Hotel by Lindsay Fay. This one I picked up simply because I really loved Jane Steele by Lindsay Fay. Like her authorial voice, really, I liked it a lot. So I wanted to check out more of her works, and I haven't read this yet. This is 1921, historical fiction in New York. I don't know. We'll see, as always. And then Wicked City by Beatrice Williams. I did like try a chapter one time, and I tried a chapter of this, and it seemed cool. This one is New York City, 1924. Yeah, just a flapper, Prohibition era. Yeah, making an alliance that rattles Manhattan society to its foundations. And I think this one is also like 2 different time zone or timelines. Like someone living in a building that like is learning about the history of the building and the people that used to live there back in the day. I'm pretty sure. That's all for that bookcase. Oh God, the next one has so many unread. So many, Jesus Christ. Oh, fuck. These ones are right here, so I only grabbed the ones from the top shelf, and the rest I'm just gonna grab off the shelf because it's like literally all of them. From the top shelf, though, I have Dead Dead Girls by Nikisa Afia. This is historical. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh my God, my heart just stopped a little bit. Whew. Oh, I thought the books were falling down on top of me, but they just slid over. Whew, okay, wow, that scared the shit out of me. I'm so sorry. I need to compose myself. It was the metal, like, book, what am I trying to say, bookend, that, like, it scraped across, and it sounded like it was all coming down on top of me. Scared the fuck out of me. Oh my God. Anyways, this book, it's a historical mystery, Harlem Renaissance mystery. And I believe it's a series too. I'm pretty sure there's another one. But yeah, it just sounds really fun. A young black woman in 1926. Another historical cozy mystery, Maisie Dobbs and Birds of a Feather by Jacqueline Winspear. It's like a bind up of these first 2 books in this series. This is a very long, and I think ongoing series. These are the 2 books. The Maisie Dobbs series. So hopefully I enjoy these first 2. We'll see. And maybe I'll love them and want to continue. And then these books from the Lady Hardcastle series, another historical cozy mystery thing. And I'm so annoyed that some of the books are different sizes. I don't know why the later books got changed with the size, but whatever. And then a fantasy romance series that I really like. This is a prequel to the series. The first 3 books in the core series are out, and this is just a prequel one that I haven't read yet, Wind and Wildfire. I really enjoy that series. And then, okay, yeah, literally all of these. I have this series by Charlene Harris. Well, actually, no, I've read this one. I'm silly. But yeah, books 2 and 3, A Longer Fall and The Russian Cage. These are like historical fantasy set in like kind of Western thing, but with like magic, sorcery, etc. I'm gonna end up with just so many books just all littered around me. But yeah, then I have this series, the First Law Trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, adult grimdark fantasy. I have not read any Joe Abercrombie yet. Hopefully I like those. I really like those covers too. And then getting into the Goldsboro SFF books that I have received that I haven't read any of them yet. The Immortality Thief by Taryn Hunt. This one is like sci-fi-ish and has just the most beautiful sprayed edges ever. My God. City of Lost Chances by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Beautiful. Again, this I believe is a standalone adult fantasy. Just so pretty. Shield Maiden by Sharon Emmerichs. Fantasy, adult, I do believe, about a shield maiden. A heroine with a generous spirit, an unshakable will, and a dragon's fury. Cool, cool. The Book of Eve by Meg Clothier, I don't know. Its pages hide an ancient secret. The truth could cost her life. Beautiful, once again. The one that I took the protective thing off is Lost in Time by A.G. Riddle. So cool. I love the colors of this cover. Oh my god. And this one also is like sci-fi. It's like time travel stuff. Silver Under Nightfall by Rin Chupeco. Adult, I do believe. And this is like vampire stuff, and I've heard good things about it. I'm very excited for this one. This will probably be the first one I pick up. I wanted to pick it up in like March, but it's May, and I haven't. But soon, maybe. Elle and I were gonna buddy read it, but I don't know if she like started it without me because I was like, yeah, man, I don't know when I am gonna get to it. And then Mindwalker by Kate Dillon, another one from Goldsboro that is sci-fi, as you can probably tell from the cover. Syntax Technologies, like AI or like robots or something. Never Die by Rob J. Hayes, self-published fantasy. Really cool cover. Hope I like it. Gods of death and warriors saving the world. Heroes of old. I don't know, legendary heroes. Wastelands, Stories of the Apocalypse. This is a collection of short stories featuring Octavia E. Butler, Orson Scott Card. Is he a horrible racist, or is that the other guy? I'm pretty sure it might be him. Jonathan Lethem, George R. R. Martin, Stephen King, Gene Wolfe, and many others. So I like dystopian type shit, so I figured I would check this out. The Freedom Race by Lucinda Roy. This is adult sci-fi, I believe. I mean, speculative at least. Speculative fiction blends the Underground Railroad and The Handmaid's Tale in a novel of subjugation, resistance, and hope. Cool. Yeah, sounded cool. That's why I got it. The City of Dusk by Tara Sim. I think this is adult or new adult. It might be young adult. I don't remember. Is it young adult? I think it's adult. But yeah, fantasy. I don't know. I'm not sure I'm going to love this one, but I got the freaking, what is it, Fairy Loot? Yeah, I had Fairy Loot for like 2 or 3 months, and I got this copy that isn't that different from the regular. The Witch and the Tsar by Olesya Salnikova Gilmore. It's like a Baba Yaga thing, fantasy. Love this cover. I've heard mixed things about it though, so I don't know if I'm gonna love it. This one I'm really unsure about, but I managed to find a used copy of it. Persephone Station by Stina Leicht. This is adult SFF. Hugo Award nominated author Stina Leicht. A space opera for fans of The Mandalorian and Cowboy Bebop. I mean, I haven't watched either of those shows, and I don't know that I love space opera, so very hesitant about this. Ursula K. Le Guin, Worlds of Exile and Illusion, 3 complete novels of the Hainish series in 1 volume. I've read a couple of things from the Hainish cycle. The Left Hand of Darkness is from that, and The Word for World is Forest. Loved both of those. Rocannon's World, Planet of Exile, and City of Illusions. Some translated fiction, fantasy, I believe, right? Fantasy? Historical? Yeah. A Hero Born by Jin Yong, Legends of the Condor Heroes 1. The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart, fantasy. The series is about to be finished, if not already finished. Book 3 either is out or coming out soon this year. I think it's going to be something I really, really enjoy. I don't know. The Library of the Dead by T.L. Huchu. I've heard good things about this first book and then not so great things about the second book, so I don't know, but I'm intrigued. It's fantasy with ghosts and stuff. The Winter of the Witch by Catherine Arden. This is book 3, or book 2 or 3 of the series. Yeah, book 3 of the Winter Night trilogy. I don't own book 1 or 2, nor have I read them. But it was a used copy, and I was like, hey, let me snatch that up. The Raven Tower by Anne Leckie. Gods Among Us, I think. I'm pretty sure, I don't know, fantasy. I'm pretty sure it's adult fantasy. The Obsidian Tower by Melissa Carew. Another one that is fantasy, I believe adult. I don't know, ancient magic, secrets for thousands of years, blah, 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 unleashing a threat that could doom the world. The City in the Middle of the Night by Charlie Jane Anders. I was gonna say Andreas, but that's dyslexic apparently. Yeah, humanity, a colonized planet, divided, 2 cities built long ago. It's like sci-fi, kind of dystopian, I think. Reaper Man and Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. from the Discworld, the larger Discworld series or world, and specifically these are from the Mort like series within that world, or the Death Collection, I think. I don't know, whatever it's called. Hunt the Stars by Jesse Mihalik. Heard mixed things about this. Sci-fi again, and I think this one's like romance, sci-fi romance, I'm pretty sure. Very unsure if I'm gonna like that one. The Winnowing Flame trilogy by Jen Williams. The Ninth Rain, The Bitter Twins, The Poison Song. Elle loves these, and a lot of people do too, after she like started hyping it all up. And I like these covers too. I know there's new ones, I'm pretty sure, but I like these, and hopefully I like the series and want to keep the books. Neil Gaiman, Norse Mythology. This I actually got when I was in the Philippines. One of the agents that was like working for us, that I went there to train, got this for me and put like my name on it and thank you for hanging with us, blah, blah, blah. And I thought that was really nice. The first two books in the Wolves of Elantra series by Michelle Segarra, The Emperor's Wolves and Sword and Shadow. I'm waiting to try out the other series in this world. These are like, it's like a prequel series. So I want to read the first few books of the other one to get like a feel for the world. I've had several people tell me like just to read the first 3 or 4 books of that to get a feel for it of A, if I'm going to like it or not, like the writing, but also just to have an understanding of the world. And then that I don't necessarily need to read all like 17 books, I think, that are in that series before I start this one. So that's the plan. Win Chelsea by Alex Preston. This obviously, I mean, the cover just grabbed my attention, and I don't even remember. It's fantasy, but smugglers, pirates, historical fantasy. The Great Book of Amber, the Complete Amber Chronicles, this whole freaking thing, 1 through 10 books. Roger Zelazny. I really like this cover. I think it's fun. Yeah, this thing is chonky. And yeah, it has all the books. 9 Princes of Amber, The Guns of Avalon, etc., etc. I've just heard cool things about it. I mean, hopefully I like it, because I got all fucking 10 books here. Kind of more like a, I don't know if it's like classic fantasy. I don't know what people consider classic, but slightly older, I think. And then A Declaration of the Rights of Magicians by H.G. Perry. Don't know how I'm going to feel about this, because it's like fans of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which I DNF'd. So, I don't know. Historical fantasy, though. Upon a Burning Throne by Ashok K. Banker, The Burnt Empire Saga. I've heard really good things about this first book, but not so much about, I don't know if it's the second and the third. Definitely the third I have not heard super great things about. But Indian-inspired fantasy, Indian author, I do believe. Engines of Empire by R.S. Ford. Elle also really loves this series. I think she just read book 2 or is reading book 2. And yeah, I don't know. It's like kind of a mix, I think, between like almost sci-fi and fantasy, if I remember correctly. Or it's like a more modern, like industrialized, like fantasy world. Something with like families, houses, drama, etc. The Days of the Deer by Liliana Bodoc. This is it translated? I don't think so. Maybe? Is it? You know, I cannot recall. Yes, translation. Okay. Originally published in Spanish as Los Días del Venado. So yeah, this is translated. You know, Latin American, I believe, fiction. Yeah, originally Spanish. And fantasy. And yeah, I've just had this recommended to me by people when I asked about like wanting more Central American and South American fantasy. So hopefully I like it. But if I remember correctly, the rest of the series isn't translated. Is this the one? There was one that like a few people recommended that only the first book was translated. It might be this one. I don't remember. A few Octavia E. Butler's Patternist series. I have Mind of My Mind and Clay's Ark. There's 1 or 2 other ones that I haven't read. I read the first one, but yeah, there's at least 1 more, if not 2 more, that I don't own that I haven't read. And like that first book, it's like weird, and it's like sci-fi, speculative. You know, it's Octavia E. Butler, and they were weird. It was weird, and kind of like, what's happening? But I liked it, you know what I mean? Where I wanted to see what else the rest of it was about. And then Octavia E. Butler, a different, I don't know if this is standalone or if it's a series. I think it's standalone. Fledgling. This one is, again, speculative, and this one is vampires, though. Genetically modified vampire. The Golem and the Jinni by Helene Wecker. Fantasy, historical fiction, fantasy, whatever. Yeah, I've heard good things about this. I'm excited. Set in New York, I think. Yeah. This one I randomly picked up at a used bookstore, Duskfall by Christopher Hoosberg. I've had it for a couple years. It's fantasy. I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna... when I'm ever gonna fucking read it. We'll see. And then I have most of the books. I think there's like one or two I'm missing from the Queen's Thief series by Megan Whalen Turner. I've heard really good things about this. I just need, like, I don't know if this is like the first 4 or if I'm missing one in the middle, because I think there's total 5, if I remember correctly. I don't know. But yeah, I have these. Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. I almost unhauled this at one point, but then I did a try chapter and I read the first, chapter or two, and I was like, okay, I'm intrigued, but it's just one that I feel like I could see myself as it goes on being like, what is happening? I'm out. Time will tell whenever I do make an attempt to actually read it. The Lost Queen by Signe Pike. Outlander meets Camelot. Fantasy, historical. The Wolf and the Whale by Jordana Max Brodsky. I know specifically Mara really loved this, and it just sounds cool. It is kind of like I think Norse fantasy, Norse or Inuit. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Blends Inuit and Norse mythology into an epic adventure in the frozen Arctic 1,000 years ago. Songs of Love and Death, edited by George R. R. Martin and Gardner Dozois. I don't know. It's an anthology of deadly devotion, heart-wrenching and deliciously dark tales of tragedy and romance. We have Joe Beverly, Jim Butcher, Jacqueline Carey, Diana Gabaldon, Neil Gaiman, Yasmin Galenorn, Robin Hobb, Marjorie M. Liu, whom I love. Yeah, bunch of people. Speaking of Marjorie M. Liu, I have 2 books from this series. I can't remember the name of the series. Shadow Touch and Tiger Eye, with just some terrible covers. But yeah, fantasy, romance, and I just wanted to try out some more Marjorie Liu because I read the short story. I mean, I've read Monstrous and I love it. And then I read a collection of short stories by her and I enjoyed them overall. I didn't keep that book because I was like, I'll never reread it, but wanted to check out some of her other stuff, just paranormal romance stuff. Furies of Calderon by Jim Butcher. I have only read this first book in the Cinder Spire, The Aeronaut's Windlass, which fucking finally, I think book 2 will be coming in the coming year or so. It's been since 2015. But I haven't read anything else by him, and I've heard good things about this, the Codex Alara series, epic fantasy, etc. The Michelle Segara books I was talking about, the other series, I have the first 2, I think this is, or like 2 and 3. Cast in Shadow and Cast in Secret, just fantasy stuff. Then I grabbed a bunch of these mass market paperbacks of these Elizabeth Hoyden books, the Rhapsody, I don't know what the series is actually called, but Rhapsody, Destiny, Prophecy, kind of epic, classic fantasy. And then these 2, I think, are like a follow-up series, like in the same world or something. And it's Requiem for the Sun and Elegy for a Lost Star. I don't remember what order they go in, but again, epic, classic fantasy adventure with a female main character. She's holding a freaking baby and a sword on this cover. Like, I hope I like you because you seem badass from the covers, at least. The Last Stormlord by Glenda Lark. Just mass market paperback fantasy. I did a try chapter of this one time and enjoyed it enough to keep it. Civilization on the brink of disaster. They need to find a way to save everyone. Water is life and the wells are running dry. An Accident of Stars by Foz Meadows. Book 1 of the Manifold Worlds, a portal fantasy for grown-ups. Check it out, see how I feel about it. I really like this cover, it's really fun. Rainbow and shit. Another totally random one I grabbed from a used bookstore. Blades of the Old Empire by Anna Kashina. The Majot Code Book 1. A mercenary. A diamond warrior, the best of the best. And shit with a warrior. And I think I did a tri-chapter of this one too. I'm pretty sure I did, and I liked it. That's that bookcase. Oh my God. There are so many books everywhere, Jesus Christ. Okay, I actually took a whole break to let my phone charge because she was dying, and I ate some food. Okay, I grabbed all the books though. What order are they in? I think it's this, yes. This bookcase over here. Here's what we've got over there. So I have The Secret Adversary by Agatha Christie. I've never read any Agatha Christie, and I found this at a used bookstore and picked it up. This series by Christopher Moore, a love story series, I believe, and unfortunately have different editions of them, but I read a Christopher Moore book long time ago and enjoyed it, but like it was just the one book and I don't really remember, and it was like in 2008 or something. So yeah, I grabbed this. It's like a paranormal thing with vampires and stuff. I remember his authorial voice being very kind of like silly, very much not taking itself seriously, and like funny, humorous, that kind of thing. I don't know why this book is over on that shelf, but The Beginning Place by Ursula K. Le Guin obviously is going to be sci-fi. I think this is one from the Hainish cycle. I'm fairly certain. There's like a bunch in the Hainish cycle. A Prophecy in Ash by Julie Xanthopoulos. This is book 2 of this series, and I can't remember the name of the series. In Ash, I think. Oh yeah, In Ash. And self-published or indie published, and I read the first book. I quite enjoyed it, and I'm excited for this one. It's fairy, contemporary fantasy, but like portal worlds kind of thing, realms. The Iron Worm Affair by Lilith St. Crow, the Bannon and Claire series, and this is historical, paranormal, fantasy, I believe. Yeah, and romance, I think, too. Steampunk, yeah, steampunk as well. I really love the Parasol Protectorate series, which has these elements to it, so figured I would try some more of that out. By Beth Cato, I have The Clockwork Dagger and The Clockwork Crown. I think there's one more in this series. Can't quite recall. Dr. Quinn meets Dreadnought in this thrilling, delightful tale, combining political stakes of epic fantasy, airships, and corsets of steampunk, heartwarming joy of romance. Again, that kind of vibe of historical, steampunk, romance, fantasy, etc. And then I have this edition of Song of Blood and Stone by Elle Penelope. This is a fantasy romance series that now actually has different covers, and I think I like the other covers better anyway. Very not sure how I'm going to feel about this one. I've seen very mixed reviews about the series overall, but wanted to try it out. And then there's like my Wuthering Heights, my Great Gatsby. And then there's some classics though. Oh, I have these two books that I got at like a rare used bookstore that I just thought were cool. It's The 1001 Nights and Tennyson to Whitman, like poetry and stuff. It's the Harvard Classics editions. Have not read them. Kind of books that I'm like, you know, someday I'll get to them, to try them out slowly probably, because it's like, you know, a bunch of poems, and The 1001 Nights is like multiple stories, so we'll see. Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. I have debated unhauling this several times. It sounds very daunting. I mean, it's literary for sure, and I'm pretty sure it's like fantastical, but I don't know if it's more like fabulism or science fiction. Yeah, mind-bending philosophical and scientific speculation. I'm very, very intimidated by this. And this was a gift from Roger. Time Cat by Lloyd Alexander. This is like one of his favorite books from his childhood. And I mean, it's a freaking time cat. How cute is that? Yeah, fantasy, talking cat. What's not to love? How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents by Julia Alvarez. A modern classic. Really like this edition. A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I've watched this movie so many times as a child and once as an adult. Love the movie, but have never read the book, so we shall see. And then these classics I have Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I thought I read it before on audio, and it was the abridged version. And it was over really fast. I was like, I know that book is huge. What happened? And yeah, it was the abridged version. So I have not actually read Jane Eyre. Emily Bronte, Poems from the Moor. I want to read this year. I have it on my, like, you know, kind of year-long just pile of possibilities. It's poems, obviously. Oh, these are all sticking together because of the sticky shit on the back. That's so annoying. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I've Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens. North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. I DNF'd this a few years back, but I think it was just mood. Like, the authorial voice I was really enjoying. It was just, like, I wasn't in the mood for that kind of story at the time, I think. And then I have these books. I have The Fairies, Dragons, and Mermaids, and it's Myth, Legends, and Lore by various authors. These two are both Skye Alexander. This one is Doug Niles. Oh, Dragonlance and Forgotten Realms series author. But yeah, it's just like kind of a history of the lore of these mythological, folktale, etc. creatures. I read the vampire one already, but not those. And then some nonfiction that I haven't gotten to yet. Becoming Abolitionists by Dereka Purnell. Pretty self-explanatory, I think. The New Handbook for a Post-Roe Modern America by Robin Marty. An essential tool for anyone worried about losing access to abortion in the US of A. The Pivot, Addressing Global Problems Through Local Action by Steve Ham. I don't know, sounded informative. We'll check it out. Me and White Supremacy by Layla F. Saad. Yeah, there's that. Again, these are all pretty self-explanatory, I think. Angela Y. Davis, Women, Race, and Class. White Rage, The Unspoken Truth of Our Racial Divide by Carol Anderson. A Long Way Gone, Memoirs of a Boy Soldier by Ishmael Bia. B. Sounds like it will be very intense, but probably good. I've heard good things about it. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot. Very well-known nonfiction, and I found a very dinged-up copy, but want to check it out at some point. Wondrous Beauty by Carol Birkin. The Life and Adventures of Elizabeth Patterson Bonaparte. In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. A memoir. I am wanting to read this year, but I'm intimidated, or I know it's going to be difficult. So yeah, we'll see. It's an account of a relationship gone bad and a bold dissection of the mechanisms and cultural representations of psychological abuse. So yeah, but it's like told in a different way, I guess. Yeah, narrative tropes for each chapter, and I feel like it'll be really good. But again, very intense on a personal level. The Woman Who Would Be King by Kara Cooney. This name, I've looked it up and I always get it wrong. Hatshepsut. I'm so sorry. I forgot to look it up beforehand. But Rise to Power in Ancient Egypt. And the last bookcase, most are read. A lot of them are like my childhood books and like the whole series of Unfortunate Events, the whole Throne of Glass series, and then some young adult that I've read and whatnot. But there are a few things there that I haven't read yet, including A Taste for Gold and Iron by Alexandra Rowland. I hope I love this just because, my God, this cover is so stupid gorgeous. And pink, I love that too. The inside isn't that great, but yeah, oh my God. Fingers crossed that I actually love the book. The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. It's a little, fantasy, contemporary fantasy, cozy, apparently heartwarming, etc. The Diviners by Libba Bray. Probably doesn't need a lot of explanation. Historical fantasy and like very kind of creepy, eerie, I think sometimes genuinely like horror vibes. So we'll see how I get on with that. A Snake Falls to Earth by Darcy Little Badger. This is young adult, contemporary, with a Lipan main character again. Look at this, super cute. I love it. It's on the back there. But yeah, I really liked Alazzoe, so I hope I enjoy this as well. 9 While 9 by Stacia Moreno. I picked this up at BookNet Fest in, God, what year was that? 2018? Jesus Christ. Was that 2018? My God. And I think it's adult or new adult. I can't quite recall. But it's like paranormal, contemporary stuff. And I was considering unhauling it just because I was like, I don't know. reading the synopsis, like, am I gonna like this? And then I did a chapter, and I was like, okay, I'm intrigued still, so I kept it, but still haven't picked it up. Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Booley. I anticipate really liking this. Most people do. It is young adult, contemporary, and I don't think it's like fantasy at all. But yeah, Ojibwe, main character, and there's like something with a mystery. Yeah, it's like a thriller. Yeah, electrifying thriller layered with a rich exploration of the modern Native experience, a reckoning of current and historical injustices, and a powerful celebration of community. So, and then The Rebel by J.R. Tross. This is book 2 of the Elfraver trilogy. I've read book 1 and I quite liked it, and I want to get to this. I just haven't yet. Also, she's a chunker, but I read through the first one pretty quickly, and it was pretty chunky too. Not quite this chunky, but yeah, I just, as with all of these, haven't gotten to it yet. So then the next shelf down is a bunch of my Dear America collection, and most of those from my memory that I looked at, I have like a whole stack going, like a vertical stack of them, and there's like a shit ton. From my memory, I have already read all of them when I was a kid, except these ones I know I have not read. When I was a child, I didn't read these. So Early Sunday Morning, The Pearl Harbor Diary of Amber Billows, Hawaii 1941. Christmas After All, The Great Depression Diary of Minnie Swift, 1932. Color Me Dark, The Diary of Nellie Lee Love, The Great Migration North, Chicago, Illinois, 1919. And then these two Royal Diaries ones, I read the Anastasia one. I just kind of hit the tripod, so I don't know if it's all janky now, but yeah. Elizabeth I and Victoria, so check those out at some point. And then it's just my series of unfortunate events, and then a bunch of my childhood books, and I've read all of those. And then the bottom shelf there is more nonfiction, most of which I have read though, except for The Caliban Shore by Stephen Taylor. I started this a couple years ago and then just never picked it up again, but I got this when I was in South Africa as well. It is a South African author, and yeah, it's about the Grosvenor running aground on the coast of Southeast Africa. And then I got A History of South Africa by Leonard Thompson. I don't think I got this when I was in South Africa. I don't know if I did, but just figured could learn a little bit more about the history of the country since I've been there. And then The 1619 Project, created by Nicole Hannah-Jones, winner of the Pulitzer Prize, and the New York Times Magazine. Yeah, I think it's about, yeah, the first ship arriving in 1619 with enslaved people from Africa. And then this one I've had for freaking ever. I got it from a library sale years ago, and I do want to check it out. It's old at this point for sure. I think it was old when I got it, as far as like when it was published. 2005. But yeah, Can't Stop, Won't Stop by Jeff Chang, History of the Hip Hop Generation. I really like rap and hip hop, if you didn't know that about me. I don't know where it came from because I started listening to it in high school when I was in a 99.99% white rural like country bumpkin area. And I mean, obviously I would listen to like popular top 40, so I was like aware of mainstream like rap and hip hop that was on the radio. But from that, I don't know, I just liked it and I got more into it. And I know some of the history of like the musical history of rap and whatnot, but I thought this would be cool to learn more about. Okay, I think that is everything. That is every book currently that I physically own and have not read, and now I have to put all of these away. Oh my God. Hopefully this was enjoyable for somebody though. I don't know, I feel like this is probably gonna be really long and boring, but people seem to like these videos, so maybe you did, maybe you enjoyed it. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.